Global outrage setting in over the attempted killing of novelist and Iranian dissident Salman Rushdie. The stabbing suspect is being held without bail and charged with attempted murder. NewsMax correspondent Alex Salvi is in Rome with the reaction. Alex.
The Iranian government issuing its first comment on the attack on Salman Rushdie, claiming it's in no way involved in the attempt on his life. This after a California-born suspect rushed a stage in New York over the weekend, stabbing the author in the neck, leaving him in critical condition. Now, Iran's foreign minister says Rushdie and his supporters are to blame for the event, saying his right to speech does not justify his alleged insults against religion through his writings.
Salman
Rushdie exposed himself to popular anger and fury through insulting the sacred of Islam and trespassing red lines of over 1.5 billion Muslims, and also red lines of followers of all divine religions. Now, this was a perspective rejected by New York Governor Kathy Hochul on Sunday, who said that a man with a knife will not silence a man with a pen.
That inspires me to go out there and know I will use every tool at my disposal, including my voice, to call out this radicalization that's going on, to call out anyone who perpetrates violence, whether they're a high-profile individual or someone in the streets of Buffalo or Rochester or our small towns or the boroughs of New York.
The suspect is reportedly sympathetic to Shiite extremism and had interacted with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps on social media. Iran recently said it is backing off calls to kill Rushdie dating back to 1989 in response to his book that was condemned as being blasphemous. Now, despite denying involvement in the attack, groups aligned with Tehran put a bounty on Rushdie of over $3 million. And Iran's hardline newspaper, whose editor-in-chief is appointed by Ayatollah Khamenei, celebrating the attack and writing, quote, "God has taken his revenge on Rushdie. The attack on him shows it is not a difficult job to take similar revenge on Trump and Pompeo, and from now on, they will feel more in danger for their lives." This referencing the killing of the head of the IRGC Quds Force, Qasem Soleimani, back in 2020. In the meantime, President Biden is condemning the attack against Rushdie and the suspect who is pleading not guilty to attempted murder and assault. We're still waiting to see what kind of response there will be from the U.S. as it relates to the Iranian government, if there will be one at all. Back to you.
All right, Alex Salvi from Rome, thanks so much. Well, Iran is denying responsibility for the stabbing attack on Rushdie, instead blaming the author and his supporters. Now, despite the reports that the suspect had been in direct contact with members of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard, and that major Iranian newspaper we just saw printed a report that Donald Trump and Mike Pompeo could be next on the hit list. To discuss, I'm joined by distinguished professor at Touro College, Thane Rosenbaum, and joining us, Senate Chairman for the National Iranian Conference, Amir Fakhravar. Thane, Amir, great to see both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, Amir, I want to go to you first, specifically regarding that Iranian newspaper saying that Mike Pompeo, and former President Donald Trump could be next and should fear for their lives. Your reaction to that?
Look what newspaper we are talking about. It's Kayhan newspaper. This is the official newspaper of the Iranian Supreme Leader's office. It's not just a newspaper. Everything in Kayhan, the director of this newspaper, Hossein Shariat Madari, says it's the official word of the Supreme Leader. Yes, they are planning to do that, and they are saying it was the retaliation of the killing of Qasem Soleimani, which was the amazing job of President Trump to kill him. And the regime is celebrating right now. They are not happy that the Salman Rushdie is not dead right now. Last week, the DOJ released a statement and said another terrorist of the IRGC, Shahram PourSafi, he tried to kill John Bolton in D.C. And to make news for you, I was the target. I'm coming from the briefing of FBI, and they told me I was the Iranian target in Houston, Texas. For this guy, the same guy, Shahram PourSafi, he was trying to find my house address in Houston. Wow. And this regime is doing that. The IRGC's job is this. And the question is, why Biden administration is talking with these crazy mullahs, and the mullahs are requesting Biden to remove IRGC's name from the terror list when they are planning for terror in the United States? Right. Unbelievable.
Thane, going to you here. I mean, we seem to be hearing something different related to Iran more and more frequently, it seems, besides the Salman Rushdie stabbing. Also, as Amir pointed out, the PourSafi incident with Bolton and also Pompeo. And of course, continuing potentially to have these nuclear talks with the Iranian government. It seems like we're maybe not focusing on what we should, which is national security at this point.
Katrina, first of all, I was very sorry to hear about the threat on Amir's life. Didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that, Amir. But I'm not surprised. This is a theocracy, and it's also a death cult. It's appalling to me that Muslims around the world would even tolerate the idea that this is the way they're seen by the rest of the world, that they're imposing blasphemy laws against the rest of the world. Remember, people forget it wasn't just the death threat fatwa against Rushdie. His Japanese translator, Katrina, was killed. In Japan, right? His Norwegian publisher was nearly killed. His Italian translator was nearly killed. What Iran is basically saying here, again, is these blasphemy laws must apply to everyone. That the fact that blasphemy laws don't apply to any other religion just demonstrates, again, how extremist Islam simply is incompatible with Western values. And yes, why, as Amir said, why are we negotiating with Iran? We understand that when they talk about the only enrichment they know about is uranium enrichment. They don't understand enrichment of anything else, ideas, books, culture. This is a medieval theocratic society, murderous to the core, right? All they do is scream death to America, death to Israel. Who talks like this? What other country in the world can bring out 40,000 people to scream and burn things, flags in effigy, death to America? What does that tell you about this regime? Why would we trust anything that they're saying when they're now, after Rushdie is trying to preserve his life, they're applauding the stabbing and wishing for his death, as Amir pointed out?
Yeah, Amir, we're almost out of time, but just want to ask you one quick question. The fatwa that was taken out 30 years ago on Salman Rushdie has never been denounced by the Iranian government. It still stands. So is that something that, there's a $3 million bounty on Salman Rushdie's head. Just your response to the fatwa and the fact that it has never been removed. Again, just a few seconds.
Iranian crazy supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, he said Khomeini's fatwa is irrevocable. That means the fatwa is there until Salman Rushdie is dead. Still is there, the money still is there because the guy, Hadi Matar, couldn't kill Salman Rushdie. And yeah, they are still trying and they will try.
All right. Thane Rosenbaum, Amir Fakhravar, thanks so much for joining us. I still want to know why there was no security at that event. Anyway, that's another question, another discussion. But meantime, there has been bipartisan condemnation of the stabbing attack of Salman Rushdie and any possible Iranian involvement. But now critics are calling on President Biden